Hello everyone, welcome to Infoston System channel. This is David. This is the 8th episode on Semiconductor Series. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting and important topic, that is how we convert high-level programming to machine code the machine would understand easily. I'm going to give you the best real-time example with PUBG game. For the past two episodes, 6th and 7th episode, I have covered logic gate, how it works. I have given you the best simple real-time examples. Hope you have watched them. So we all know the machine would understand only zeros and ones. 0 is equal to off, 1 is equal to on. Series of zeros and ones we call as a binary. One digit of either 0 or 1 we call as 1 bit. 8 series of zeros and ones we call as 1 byte, and the 16 series of zeros and ones we call as 2 byte. So the machine would understand only zeros and ones. It won't understand human words. But in your smartphone and your computers, there are more than 1 billion transistors placed there. As a human being, how you would be able to communicate with your machine using just by zeros and ones? Because it won't understand your words. So machine would understand zeros and ones, but you cannot deal with these are our 1 billion transistors, right? So that is why we have come up with the solutions. That is, human would write the high-level programming, then the high-level programming will be converted to the machine code, that is also called low-level code, using a compiler or interpreter. So what is high-level programming? High-level programming is written by human being and understood by the human being. So the human cannot deal with zeros and ones, so the human can write the code that human would understand. The output of high-level programming also the human-based output. So the high-level programming is object-oriented programming. For example, you can say Java, C++, Python, .NET. These all are object-oriented programming. Wherever you define object and classes, that is called object-oriented programming. This object-oriented programming has to be converted to the machine code. Okay, so I'm going to give you the best example using PUBG game. So the PUBG game is one of the largest games that exist in the world. So here the PUBG game is written by C++. The reason they prefer C++ because it is faster than others. Watch this episode, you would understand why C++ is faster than others. So the C++ programming is C++ is a high-level programming and is object-oriented programming. So see the screen, there are two lines of code. It's a very simple example C++ snippet, the two lines. The first line it is written here is if joystick dot get axis position 0 greater than 50. Then character dot move forward 10. Second line is written if joystick dot button pressed 1, then weapon dot fire. So what the two lines is, I'll give you the explanation here. Before I'm going to the explanation, think about the joystick you have in your hand. The joystick has several buttons. One button called tilt button that will help you to move 360 degree, right? So the tilt button. Then for shooting button, you prefer first button, right? So what you do is, like the first line is written here is get dot axis position zeros and 50, which means the tilt button, if you move axis angle of 50 degree, then character has to move forward 10 units, which means if you tilt your button to 50 angle, then the PUBG game character will move forward 10 units. So when you press the button 1, then the character will take the gun and start shooting. So that's called the sample two lines codes of C++. It's a very simple code, but C++ code of Python has more than thousands of codes. Okay, so this code human written and human you understand this, but machine would not be able to understand. So machine, if you not understand, whatever you do in the joystick, it never gonna happen anything. So now the next, you have to make the communication between the high level programming and machine and also your joystick. So for that, you have to convert the high-level programming to the machine code. For the C++ code, they use compiler, not interpreter. For the C++, they use compiler. So the compiler, what exactly it does is, as soon as you write the high-level C++ programming, it will be compiled using compiler. What is compiler? Compiler is also called software tool written by C or C++. So this compiler will compile the whole code to the compiled code. It's also called low-level programming code and also called machine code. Again, you see the screen. There are two lines is given here, right? So first line is if, pass token if, compile conditional, then generate the machine code. This is the low-level code. Okay, would you be able to understand what is written here? As a human, you write only the high-level programming. What exactly here it is says here is, okay, get the code and compile it and generate the machine code. What is generate the machine code? The machine code output is series of zeros and ones. So your high-level programming now converted to the low-level programming using compiler, and low-level programming output is zeros and ones. So now come to the game. So you have a joystick now. So whenever you make the action, the joystick, the buttons behind the circuit board, there are also transistors, right? So your joystick button has to be, its analog action has to be converted to the digital mode, because that is why you can communicate with the machine. So first thing, your joystick output also should be zeros and ones. How we going to make it? So as whatever the button you press, the respective transistor will be activated. So we already know the transistor will do only two tasks. One is it will off or it will switch on. It will switch off or it will switch on. So switch off means the low voltage and switch on means the high voltage. So whenever you click the button, that the respective transistor will be activated. Then based on the voltage variation, low voltage and high voltage, it will generate the binary numbers, series of zeros and ones. That information, that series of binaries will be given to machine. So we already compiled the high-level C++ programming using compiler. So that also output is zeros and ones, and your joystick output also zeros and ones. Now the compiler will understand both sides and it will communicate it to the processor. That is why when you tilt the button and switching button, your character will do the action based on your action you make through joystick. Same concept applied in your smartphone also. Instead of joystick, you press the button on the screen. Your smartphone screen also has series of transistor behind it. I already explained how touch screen of the smartphone works in the previous episode, so please go ahead and watch it. So that's what the high level, the PUBG game programming is converted to the machine code. The machine can understand now. So now you got the better understanding. Now you have come up with the question, right? So can we write PUBG game using other codes like Python? Yes, it's possible, right? But for the Python, you would not be able to use compiler. Here you use interpreter. What is interpreter? Interpreters also help to convert the high-level programming to machine code, but it would not be a direct, straightforward process as a compiler. So for the interpreter, first the code will be converted to the intermediate form, then the intermediate form will be converted to the machine code. So here the Python, we have to use interpreter. So here the Python's interpreter is called CPython. The CPython will convert to the Python code to intermediate form. So then the intermediate form will be given to Python virtual machine, that's called PVM. The PVM will convert to machine code. So here for the interpreter, the high-level program will be given to interpreter, then interpreter will convert to the intermediate form, the intermediate form will be converted to the machine code. But compiler, it will directly compile the code from the high-level programming. That is why C++ is faster than Python. So this is the way all the programming works. Whatever whatever the application you use in your smartphone or computer work in the same concept. So without machine code, you cannot communicate with the machine. Without high level programming, you cannot directly communicate with machine. So that is why high level programming is important and to be converted to the machine code. So the next is, you may come up with a question, right? Like how that is, the millions of transistor is there in the smartphone, but the equipment has to be very bigger, right? So that is very simple one, right? So next episode we're going to talk about how we're going to make the transistor that can accommodate with your smartphones and computers. So hope you now got a better understanding of how high level programming to be converted to the machine code the machine can understand. So next episode we will talk about making of transistor. Until then, stay tuned. Thank you.